Okay, we're live again with the second part for today, Wednesday, the 26th of May. We're going live. We're bringing another interview, a special guest interview. Um, this is our second part. Previously, we did have Frank Lopez Jr. on this on our show. Now we're gonna bring out Ruben Falcon. Ruben Falcon was just reelected to city council in Fort Stockton. We're gonna ask him about that. Um, the particular thing that makes it relative to people here in Maverick County, city of Eagle Pass, is that Ruben Falcon was the Republican candidate that ran for Texas state representative for Texas District 74, who was the opponent of Eddie Morales, who's our current state representative right now. We're going to go ahead and bring him on, speak with him a little bit, of course, about the district, his election, how it went with his city council thing in Fort Stockton. Um, we'll go ahead and bring him on now. Hey, Mr. Falcon, how you doing?
Ruben, I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Ruben, how you doing? I'm doing good. Thank you for meeting with us. I know we tried to schedule last week. You had a council meeting, which understandable, all that stuff. And we thank you for joining us today, and we're excited to get you in here. We'll start off right off the bat. We congratulate you on your recent win. We were kind of looking over your Facebook, and we saw that you guys just had your election just like we did here in Eagle Pass, and you secured a victory. Do you want to speak a little bit about that, of how that went for you?
Yeah, so 2020 was a long year, for the obvious reasons, the campaign, the frustrating for all the candidates, especially after the November 3rd primary was over. It's when everything started hitting the brakes as far as town halls and things like that. Zoom took a while to get going. It really, we just didn't jump into Zoom meetings right away. It took probably to middle of the summer before WebEx and all these Zoom and Facebook started taking into the deal.
Yeah.
So I was undecided if I was going to run for my seat again. In preparing for 2022, and as a seasoned elected official,
Mm-hmm.
I looked at who was running, and you look at not only your position as a homeowner, a business owner, a property owner, a local taxpayer. You look at who wants to do it, and you say, this people do not have the experience. I'm going to run again, and call it what you will, but at the end of the day, you have to protect your interest. Now, as far as local races are tough, okay, it's a small town, especially May elections, because one church might turn out altogether. It is what it is. It's kind of like, I posted some pictures on Facebook. I used to weigh about 270 pounds, 280 pounds, and I actually graduated high school at 150 pounds, and then you just kind of let yourself go a little bit, right? And I started running, and now I run half marathons. I've been trying to do a full, can't get there yet. But running a 5K is so much harder than running a half marathon or a 10K, because it's just aggressive, man. And it's the same thing with a local race. Everybody's friends, whether it be in Eagle Pass, the Rio here, Bracket. Everyone's friends, and those are tough. But a friend of mine who just lost, he was the mayor of Monahans North of us, I think, over 20 years. He told me one time, in a small town, every time you win a race, the guy you beat, his family will never vote for you again. And the next time, so eventually you run out of people to vote for you, man. And he just lost his race. And he's extremely popular guy, friendly guy, but he lost, and just I've lost races before, and you just take it with the punches, and you see what you did and what you could have done better, and either do it again or you don't. Anyway, so yeah, I'm glad to be back on. I mean, main reason also was that there were certain things I wanted to accomplish in 2020 really pump the brakes on getting projects done that I wanted sealed and done before I got off. So that was another reason, kind of like a double-edged why I ran. But anyway, glad to be back on. I was in a meeting just till 7:30 right now. So anyway, está bueno.
No, yeah. I mean, I think I can maybe. No, I probably won't last like a quarter of a mile trying to, that's at a fast pace. So I respect that. I try to wake up every morning and walk at our lake. It's about I think 1.5 miles, and that gets me tired, So definitely respect on that. But yeah. So the race in Fort Stockton. Can you? What's the population out there in Fort Stockton?
The town, we're about 10,000. If you count everybody in 10,000. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just trying to compare it. So for the people that are going to view the video, so you had one opponent, two opponents, or
there was 4 of us for 2 seats.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was it's not where you have to declare like a place. It's just the top 2 vote getters.
Yeah, that's it. Top 2 vote getters.
Okay, that's a little different than here in Eagle Pass.
Yeah, and then the mayor was up for us. And really, the drive, I'm real good friends with the mayor. And the main driving race was the mayor race, kind of like 2020, the presidential race.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and so you got to make sure that you stimulate, your backers to go vote because everyone's coming out,
Mm-hmm.
and so, pero okay, came out good, man. And like I said, just like Eagle Pass, and Bracken out in the towns where I came out, we have a lot of issues, man. And I tell you, when I decided to run for state rep, of course, the state rep race is by windows, right? Pete Gallego was in for so long, and then the longer someone's in office, the harder it is. I mean, they form a good rapport with the community, and so when Pete got off in whatever it was, 2011, 12, I could not jump in. I had a senior in college, a freshman in college, and there's no way, And then when Poncho got out, I saw a window there, and I said, I'm in. This is the small window. It was rushed, and I wish I had more time to prepare. But that's okay. I always looked at it as a 2 at bat. You know what I mean? Of course, I would have liked to hit a home run the first time up, but it did. You learn, and in other words, you learn what the pitcher's throwing, and you adjust, right? And that was my plan from the beginning. Of course, like anything else, the sad thing is most of the time the best candidate isn't always the one that wins. It's the one with the most. I was outspent 300,000 to 20,000. Okay, and lost. I was supposed to lose by 30 points.
Okay.
I lost by 4 percentage points, right? And so we and I did that. So the first thing to say is when I decided to run, I was frustrated as a local elected official, as a conservative, as a small-time businessman. I was conservative with what still continues to be the issue, which is that we are ignored in our district, okay? Because it's simple. It's simple. You have a Republican House, a Republican Senate, Republican Lieutenant Governor, Republican Governor, and as divisive as politics are, who's going to get attention, and, yes, having being a state official will get you, hey, we need you to streamline this application with TCEQ to get our landfill. Well, that's still the city's money or the county's money, but I know that the people watching and everybody else sees, they go somewhere else. And man, there's a lot of tech stop projects out here. Man, these roads sure are nice. We don't get that. You know what I mean? We get the little, but it's spend your money, and
it's left over.
It's left over, a little bit for your hometown, and so, things like I just go up. One of the things that I don't do, I don't prepare. I don't make a list of things. I just, as they come up, I'll tell you, and we might go back and forth, and that's just the way I am. Um, one of the first things I was asked about in the campaign trail was about a 4-lane highway between Del Rio and Eagle Pass, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, why isn't it there? Obviously, I drove it.
Mm-hmm.
You need it. There's no doubt you need that 4-lane highway, for everything from the interstate commerce, the international commerce, to the college students driving back and forth. You obviously need a road, but it's not there. Actually, and the road isn't even that good. I mean, let's just be honest, And so that goes under the umbrella of being ignored. And it's worse as you get west, or as I take offense out here when people say far West Texas, like far, like it don't even matter, man. Like, far, and so when I decided to run, I looked at my experiences, having been mayor, having testified, having gotten bills passed, having gotten bills killed, having killed bills and testified. My experience dealing with water, I took on some big dudes, man. And all you gotta do is Google Falcon mayor sued, and you'll see it. Fort Stockton mayor sued. And you'll see I took on some big guys, man, and killed bills. But I signed up. They didn't know who else was going to sign up, right? I said, I'll do the primary, test the waters. And I got an opponent. Robert Garza used to be the mayor of Del Rio, right? And then there was the 3 Democrat opponents. And, right off the bat, as you ask people, I didn't care who signed up on the other side. We deal with them later, right? I looked and I asked people, okay, you got 1 guy from Del Rio, 2 from Eagle Pass. And the early money was on the guy from Del Rio because he'd worked for Pete for all those years. And, the theory was, in talking to people, was the 2 guys from Eagle Pass were going to, split Eagle Pass. One's going to win, obviously. But the guy from Del Rio was not only going to win Del Rio, he's going to win West Texas because he covered the area as an employee of the former state rep. And and okay, I mean, at least I feel okay. He knows some of the issues, right? As far as like my opponent and Eddie, I said, we have enough lawyers in the house. We don't have enough common sense people that have to make payroll, get behind on payroll, And my deal with the attorneys is they just don't relate, honestly. I mean, as far as when it comes to politics, on the upper scale of the income, that's okay. There, but I'm talking in relations to the average person, right?
Yeah.
And so, I started. The first thing we did, we had a educational conference or educational forum in Del Rio, and that's where I met all the opponents. And there was a lady there with a TV station from Del Rio. From Eagle Pass, didn't even give me time of day, and she just kept passing by me, talking to everybody. Right? I forget her name. It didn't matter. But
you said it was a radio station?
No, I think it was a TV station.
A TV station from Eagle Pass.
Yes. Okay. And she's Spanish, and of course I had heard it before, este republicano mexicano, viene a quitarme los beneficios. No, I want you not to need them. You know what I mean? I'm a product of the free lunch tokens, man. I was in that group. When you went to the cafeteria, you got the free lunch tokens, and you were already segregated since 6th grade. Here's a free lunch token. Go sit over there. All those kids in the snack bar. Once a month, once a paycheck, your mom will give you $5 to eat in the snack bar. I tell a story that one of the proudest moments for me was, without even breaking a sweat, to give my kids $20 for the week or $5 a day for lunch. I mean, it was so nothing for me. And when you think back about what your parents had to go through to give you just that once every pay period, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so I believe in pulling people up, and so yeah. So I understood what reception I was going to get, But we started out the forum on education. Of course, Eddie's solution right away, and I have to set it up because we've all rehearsed speeches on the mirror. Hey, it's going to come out like this, and the crowd's going to go like this, and all that. And right. And so his deal was, the introduction was, his solution to public education was legalizing marijuana. You know, that was the opening statement, brother. Yeah, that was the opening statement. Boom.
Wow.
Yeah, and actually Ramsey was sitting next to me, and he just tasked me like, because he stood there for a little bit, like, that didn't go. I didn't get the state ovation I wanted from that. So no, you're talking to educators, teachers. You're talking to professionals out of Del Rio and Valverde County. You're not talking to the students. Maybe the students were giving you a standing ovation, you know. And there's on video. I mean, there's on video. And so, you know, from then on, it kind of went down. You know, we went on and had a forum, and there was no doubt, you know, you're not a politician if you don't brag on yourself once in a while. There's no doubt that no one knew who I was. And by the end of that thing, there was 30 people lining to talk to me. No one else, other than family, were talking to other people. There was 30 people I never met before wanting to talk to me about what I had said during that interview. And you're welcome to see, I'm sure it's online somewhere. The most important is that that lady from that TV station was the first one in line to talk to me. So...
No, and we see that there was a separation of about 4,000 votes, correct? And
2,800, I thought.
2,800.
I don't know. I mean,
I checked the Ballotpedia. It could be wrong or outdated. Yeah, it says 26,131 to 22,334.
3,800.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. It was still nothing compared to the 40,000 he was supposed to get and the 5,000 I was supposed to get. Right.
Well, and I'm curious as to the statement you made earlier. You mentioned that the difference between the funding. Now, to me, I mean, 4,000 in a state rep. I mean, that's not a landslide.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's close. It's close. That's one county. I mean, you know what I mean?
I won other than Maverick. The only other county I think was Marfa or Presidio that I didn't win. You know, and unfortunately, I didn't win the other ones by enough to overcome the landslide in Maverick. Now, I didn't get a chance to really work. Every county or city I worked, I won. You know, Pecos, Texas, more Democratic than Eagle Pass would ever want to be. I mean, that is an 80% Democrat. I want it. You know what I mean? Like, same with Alpine, you know, but it's because, and you know, the population makes it okay. But as COVID went on, far West Texas, we were a little bit more open than some of the other, you know, Bracketville, Fort Stockton, Pecos, Alpine. They were Fort Davis, a little bit more open than some of the bigger cities, and understandably so. I'm not gonna fault the local leaders, whatever party they're from, because you make decisions with the information you got for the people you represent. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe that if I would have had a chance to debate Eddie and Eagle Pass, I think I would have gotten enough, because it was, if this would have been a job interview, Eddie and my opponent Robert wouldn't have gotten a second interview. You know, they had no experience in really in dealing with issues, especially Eddie. You know, and it showed, and you know, and you could tell it frustrated him in the debates, because he wanted to do good like we all do, but you know, he had a bunch of notes and had to keep looking down, and like most attorneys do with their yellow notepads, and he had to keep looking down. I never, you know, and I made a point of it, you know, and like I say, you can find the several forums that we did. They would show up with books, you know. I just showed up, you know, because when you have experience, 20-some years experience, not only of elected but appointed, you know, economic development, tourism, recreation board, any little board, chamber of commerce, you comfortable in what you're gonna say, because either you show people you're qualified or you don't. Now, I would just have conversations with people, you know, on education. You know, even though it may fall into the federal and a bigger deal, I believe that you know, no, legalizing marijuana is not the issue, not the solve all. I think the problem we have is the way student loans are handled. And I'll give you an example. For one thing, like one of the things I talked about in that forum was that whatever school you go to, whatever that school offers, that's what the counselor is going to push it to. You know, whether if it's a trade, if it's computer, or And so a friend of mine who I buried on election day, a military veteran, 25-year, I spent election day masked up to the gills, man, flying to Edinburgh, Texas, or South Padre, that little town right there, to go bury a high school friend of mine that was a 20+ year recruiter with the Army. Actually, in 2005, during the real tough Fallujah fight, he was the recruiter of the year because he told me one time, he said, in West Texas, San Angelo, the Rio, this way, when a kid tells a counselor, I'm going to the Army, Air Force, whatever, they're done with you. They're done with you. He said in other cities, man, especially the other side of I-35, they got ASVAB classes. They got classes to get you ready because they understand that test you take in the military sets you up for not only your military career, but what comes after for you. And so I feel the same way with student loans for kids who decide to go into trades, whether it be welding, air conditioning, the basics, right? Mm-hmm. Those kids, most of them, don't qualify for student loans to start with. It's either they work at night or a day. They go for a year to a trade school, right? But they walk out debt free. Most of them, their parents helping a little bit. Most of their parents are not, at the top of the earning chart. But once that kid is done with school, he says, okay, I need money. I need to start my electrician business, right? Or my plumbing business. I need a van. I need a shop. I need $100,000. Well, you don't have no credit. Parents are also, trying to survive like the rest of us. And so he has a hard time getting going. However, a kid that says, I want to go to college, he gets up to, $100,000 right off the bat because the system believes that in 4 or 5 years, he's going to be a productive member of society, a taxpayer, and pay this back. But a kid that did it in 1 year with no debt doesn't catch a break, And so that's some of the real things I dealt with as a parent, as a student, Yes, I'm a business guy, but I struggle like everybody else. There's good in West Texas. There's the highs of oil and the lows, and you go through both. So I really mean it that if this would have been a job, I don't think Eddie would have gotten an interview. I really don't, and that's why when I talk to people, especially in the little forums that I could talk in or speak in, I was able to look to people like they are. You know what I mean? I've had the experience. When are we going to pay our teachers more? Oh, when we stop asking for fancy buses. That's when. You know what I mean? Really. Most parents say, hey, man, that high school over there, our rival, has some of the nicest buses. Get us some of those. Make sure you put that big logo of ours, right? But we don't say, hey, that math teacher at that school makes $5,000 more than our teacher. At the same time, we're to blame too, okay? I'm not just here with solutions. I think you got to point this way, I'm sorry, I rambled. What else you got?
No worries. So, I'm looking at District 74. How many counties are involved there? 12 districts. Okay. Counties, I'm sorry, in District 74. Now, you won 10?
10, but yes, 10.
10 of the 12.
But lost.
You would think that depending, I guess, on the sizes, right? You win 10 of the 12 counties. Why didn't you win the election?
Well, it was because the population was just not there. I was never allowed. Not allowed. I'm not gonna say that. The situation with COVID at the time did not allow me to go have forums in Eagle Pass. You know what I mean? And that was frustrating. And then the money wise, so again, I saw it as a 2-at-bat thing. Normally, when you win your primary, you get a call from the party and you set up a meeting. They say, that's what you need to do. Here's some money. Well, when I won, I kind of let the smoke settle a little bit, right? April 15 comes around. And I haven't heard from anybody. So finally, about April 20, that call, hey, here's your champ. What's going on? And they're like, yeah, congratulations. Good job. We have this blue wave coming. We have half the money the Democrats have to protect 22 House seats. Your district has never been held by a Republican, conservative, even though it's a conservative district. At least 55, 45, or 45, 45. the district could be conservative if the people voted that way. Let me just quote it that way. So we and that shows in the U.S. rep, Harry Bonilla, Kio Canseco, or Hurd, Sonia Gonzalez. We have conservatives come out on the U.S. side. I just think the state Republican Party has never paid attention to the state seat. For one thing, Pete was already there, hard to get out of the way, So, and Poncho was well liked by the Republicans for whatever reason, And I got that a lot. It was kind of frustrating for a little bit, Nothing against Poncho. I met him several times, but he, every time, oh, good guy. I heard that a lot. I wish that Strauss would have made him resign his committees when he resigned. If he didn't leave the House, fine, but resign your committees. And that became a problem for me. And I'll get to that in a little bit. So I called the party and they're like, good luck. You're on your own. Do good this time around. We'll see what you can do for you next time. I accepted that. I shouldn't have. And I tell you what, as August and September came around, it's time to really go after the big race. Mm-hmm. I called some of the Republican donors, PACs, not donors, PACs, and they were like, well, how much did that give you? How much is the state party? Nothing. Okay, well, good luck to you. It kind of set a precedence for later, and again, that's a rookie, that's a rookie mistake. I'll blame myself for that one. But that kind of set a pace to the only money I was raising was pretty much local money, and some of my own, and then again, but I was able to do a lot with it. The county chairs, Fernando in Eagle Pass, Freddie in Eagle Pass, Fernando in Del Rio, Brewster County. There was Brackettville. There was a lot of people in Brackettville. So I just feel like if I would have had a better opportunity to talk to people in Maverick, I could have made up the votes. I'm not saying I would have won Eagle Pass, but no, but I do think I would have overcame the 4,000 votes, definitely. And I think Eddie saw that, because he was focusing we got 3 weeks of voting, early voting, remember? Mm-hmm. In the first week, 2 weeks, I think he spent, or the first week or 2 weeks he spent in Del Rio, because he knew I did good in Del Rio. We had 2 forums there, and I mopped the floor with him, especially the water one, where he was just trying to sell his services. Hire me and I'll solve all your water problems, Forget the fact that that's all I've done. I'm talking about water supply, dealing with water districts and stuff like that, and anyway, he spent a lot of time in Del Rio. Well, if you remember, Maverick, which is normally a very aggressive early voting town, was, I think, at the end of week 1 or week 2, I'm a little sketchy here, but Del Rio had 8,000 votes, and Maverick was only like a 2,000. It was like super low, freaked him out. So he goes to Maverick and sets up a fiesta outside the event center, right? And there's a pasta machine, there's a DJ, there's hot dogs, there's his staff of 30, and all this. And I went there a couple of days, and I tried talking. It's hard, because I didn't know. Most of the time, by the time you do that, you already met other people at forums and at a meet and greets. And so, that is money. I mean, and people unfortunately respond to free hot dogs. It is, and so, and like I said, I state my deal that he's gained some experience now, and for the sake of all of us, he needs to learn, because like most attorneys that end up in the state house, they do it for the social status, It is what it is.
No, yeah, and I mean, it is well known in Eagle Pass, Maverick County. I myself, I mean, we interviewed him a while back. I myself know him in a personal level. He was a city attorney while I worked with the city of Eagle Pass worked there about 13 years. I ended my career there as a director, so I had a direct line with the city attorney. If I ever needed anything, it was a call away. And he was a friend of mine as well. Still is. Yeah. But I would say, it directly speaks how you're saying you didn't have too much. You didn't have an opportunity here, is what you're trying to say. and I want to I want to wait on bringing out the media on that. But what I want to say is that so everybody knows. I mean, he pulled 10,000 votes here. 10,000. Now I remember seeing that and being surprised, like, damn, because that's not seen, and that was a lot of votes. And I mean, I have to give credit to him, of course, because that's 10,000 votes. I've never seen that on any state representative going to one.
Yeah.
And that was impressive. I will say that. I do know he had a world famous or a valley famous, we will say, campaign manager for at least the primaries, as I've been told. We do have him on several pictures on our page, and in an interview where he makes a little cameo. We always like to give him a shout out because we know his little tactics that he's tried with us. Obi Salinas, if you're watching or gonna watch this, hello. But I mean, it's just surprising to me the amount of votes that came out. Now, where I'm going with this is that you mentioned the media before and how you weren't given the opportunity. Can you touch a little bit and more in depth about that? As far as what do you mean by they weren't given the opportunity? Because I know for a fact one of our news medias here was very heavily Tony Gonzalez, and from what we've seen, looking at your Facebook and your page, and as we follow you, is that you supported Tony Gonzalez, right, as the congressman?
So yeah, so that goes to right after the primary. But so what I mean by the media is I didn't have the money. So obviously that one newspaper you're talking about, it's it's very advertising driven. You want and I just didn't have the money for it. To be honest with you, you know what I mean. I had the money for some signs, the things that people want to see throughout the district, signs, a couple of YouTube ads here and there that are going to be shared throughout the district. And I've been told now that the money's going to be there. It's where's the check, right? But I've been told by different state reps that were surprised throughout the state. Excuse me, PACs, conservative PACs. That's another thing I didn't do though. And I did intentionally. I ran my own campaign. I didn't want any endorsements. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to go in my first term. I didn't want to go in committed to anybody. I didn't want to go tagged. I wanted the NRA. I got it. The one this is a funny story. The one I wanted big time because my son's a police officer, and the one I wanted was the MP, Municipal Police Officer Association, the biggest. Yeah. And so I was as soon as the primary ended, that's the first one I called. And the guy said, "We already gave our endorsement." Like, what? I mean, I'm a guy at one. I check my emails, And so they go, "Yeah, I said, well, when did you give it?" And, well, back in January. I said, "Wait a second. You gave your endorsement in January where there was still 3 candidates on the Democratic side." Yeah. I said, "How did he get that?" He goes, "He called." I'm like, "Really?" The fact that some other state rep might have been the chairman of the Criminal Justice Committee, and then so I just told the guys, like, I said, "So do you know about his statements towards?" I mean, I think Ramsey and the other guy would have been disappointed that endorsement was given before the primary was even over. You know what I mean? But that's like I say, I wish that Strauss would have made Poncho resign his committee assignments when he resigned, or so he wasn't going to run again, not resign. Okay, let me correct that. But because things like that come into play, and so I kind of gave this guy a hard time. I said, I don't know how you guys feel about marijuana and stuff like and drugs in Austin, where you're based out of. I sent him a picture of my son in a SWAT gear going to a crack house. I said, but there's my son endangering his life to go in a crack house and kill drugs, which are still illegal in Texas, which you guys represent, cops. I said, but he apologized 1,000 ways, but it is what it is, right? That's the games that, that's why I said there's a 2-at-bat thing. You learn some of those games, right? Not bad, questionable, but not,
Well, okay. Let's since we kind of already cracked the door open there.
Yeah.
Go ahead and just bust it open because that's what we like to do here in the Rising Texans, right? Poncho Navares.
Yeah.
He was a very strong Democratic here with the district, Texas District 74. And many people think that, what happened with him was, I mean, let's just be honest, he dropped a large amount of cocaine in an airport. And, there's a lot of people that don't really talk about it, but hey, I mean, that's what happened. And he was the head of a lot of committees. I mean, he was again, we give credit where it's due. He was getting stronger as he went along. The time that he spent there in the House, right, with the representatives, and it's unfortunate, for whatever reason. I mean, he had a large amount of what he had. He left it behind, and somebody turned it in, as anybody should, right?
Right.
The right thing. But we didn't see him resign.
Right.
He finished out his term.
Right.
What he did say was that he wasn't going to run again.
Right.
Now, since we're talking about it, let's say if I were to be coming back on a plane and I drop a large amount of what he dropped in an airport, can you tell me where I would be right now? Just, I mean, out of curiosity.
I would think you would be in jail or prison. You know what I mean? But that's, you and I are average Joes,
I'm just asking because I know that I've heard comments here locally, and to me it resonates a lot with the situation of, and since you did leave us the door to kind of creep up on that to ask about it, I mean, of course, yeah, I think that if it was me or you having that mistake, I mean, we wouldn't have not even been allowed to finish whatever term we're on. We would be, talking to our family through a payphone, pretty much.
Right. And that was the thing that bothered me about it was it seemed to come up a lot in the campaign, as far as not only that issue with the MP, Municipal Police Officers Association, not only with them, and they never mentioned it out loud, but you do 2 and 2, it equals 5, right? And so, giving that endorsement so early and all these other endorsements that were coming in, I was not going to go after him anyway, but they look good in a flyer, but I made sure people understood I don't have that advertising on me. You know what I mean? My goal, which I even got questioned by some Republicans, I said, because they asked me about, what do you mean you're not going to take it? I said, I've dealt as a local mayor, I've dealt against lobby groups. You can't, you cannot, and I made a joke and it got the attention of some powerful people in the state. I said, first bill I'm going to introduce, which it was, and I'll tell you what my first bill is going to be. It's going to be, I'm going to make it to where every state rep has to have like you watch an MMA fight, that black tarp with all the logos. I said, they're gonna person that anytime they speak, whether it be on the floor or in public, they got to unveil that tarp, that 4x4 tarp. And of course, everybody like, you got to, no, I said, if I introduce it, how would it pass? Yes, the people would demand it. And what I meant by that is it's too hard to find out who a state official is endorsed, is getting money from. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's impossible to find out. And that's why I didn't take endorsement, because I wanted to go in by just talking to people and addressing my issues and saying, this is why you need to vote for me. The number one bill I was going to file was to make the chief county appraiser of property taxes in every county an elected position. Mm. Anyway, what? Yeah. He is the most powerful person in your county, not the county judge, not the mayor, not the sheriff. The most powerful person in your district is your appraiser. Now, of course, your appraiser says, I only appraise, y'all tax. Yes, I understand that. But if you look at your property taxes for the last 5 years, there's probably the chances that your taxes went up 60% in 5 years. Now, you tell me a $200,000 house going up 50% means that it's $100,000. So you're going to tell me your house that was worth $200,000 in 2016, you can sell now for $300,000? Yeah. And of course, the local appraiser is like, what am I supposed to run on, lowering values? I was like, yeah, start with that. I said, the issue is not the value in the algebra you use. It's how it always seems to be, regardless of it. After 2020, not only in Pecos County, but in Maverick, in Eagle Pass, in Valverde, everyone's taxes went up 10 or 12% after the crappy year that last year was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so my first bill was going to be that, and anywhere I would say that, I would get an applause for it, that is too much of a powerful position not to be elected. He's hired by a non-elected board appointed by the city, the county, the school. And I'll be honest with you, it makes it easy as an elected official not to raise taxes. I've been in office since 2005. I've never voted to raise taxes. We raised the effective rate, which means whenever the appraiser goes up, we go up, right? County does. I mean, it makes it easy as a politician. What? When I got in, tax rate was 48 cents. Well, guess what it is today? 48 cents. But my taxes have gone up 200%. So yeah. And as I went along talking to other Republicans, either elected or non-elected people, and talking about Poncho, was like, he's a great guy. My friend Poncho, great guy, And so the concern I have with not only like Poncho or Eddie or even the state rep is that yes, in the local thing, they might do something local, but at the state house where it matters, the big conservative issues, the cornerstone issues, local control, Second Amendment, right to life, all these issues, they always seem to vote with their party. You know what I mean? And so you kind of like, it goes back, and it goes back to the same problem. Our big district, the largest state district in the country, is the most ignored. Why? You're not gonna get the attention if you're not from the same political party of who's in charge, whether it be the Republicans or the Democrats. It's just, in some other states, New Mexico, it benefits you to be a Democrat because that's who the governor is. I mean, or the state house, So my whole thing was, I felt that, we're not perfect. The Republican Party is not perfect. We've done some knuckleheaded things too, and I want holding people accountable, whether they're in our party or not. The recent, I've got some crap over my statement I'm fixing to make. I made it before. The recent ice storm, it wasn't wind turbines, it wasn't solar panels. It was the fact that we've been in control for 20 years and we took a lot of money from the energy companies not to demand better infrastructure. Boom. Okay. It is what it is. Okay. And that is reality that only someone that has to deal with it every day can associate. And that's why I didn't want to take money from oil companies. They're all around me. It was offered. I didn't want to take the money. I took the money from local friends that work in the oil business, but they're not, Exxon. But that's just the person I am. You asked me earlier about like Tony Gonzalez and stuff like that. So as soon as the primary was over, COVID was getting going, right? And a friend of mine, local, he's not in the oil business. He's a oil field service company. He turns frack water, which normally gets injected, a mile into the ground in injection wells. It's very expensive to move it and stuff like that. He does it for a fifth of the price. He uses electricity, salt, and other things to cleanse this water and reuse it on location. And he called me right about, I'm going to say late March. And he says, a sheriff in Fort Bend County just hired one of my machines, a big container thing with a lot of equipment in it. He says, and he is giving free disinfectant to anybody in the community. He's got the inmates make his spray bottles. I think Sheriff Knowles, he won his race. And my friend Alex said, this is, what elected officials do. They solve problems. You couldn't find bleach the first 2 months of the pandemic. I'm talking about April and May, and even into June, you couldn't find bleach. You couldn't find Lysol. You couldn't find anything. And here it is. We're giving it away. So he asked me a very simple question, and this is where sometimes you have to ask the conservative question. Okay, he asked me this question: you've been around all these 11 people that were running for U.S. rep, right? Yes, I have. Now there's down to 2. There's going to be a runoff. Who can win in November? Tony Gonzalez. Okay, easy. This district is a conservative district by this much. Okay, that's why Henry Bonilla, Gil Canseco, Will Hurd, and Tony Gonzalez win these races, because you need Democrats to come and vote for the conservative person. Okay, if it's just a very aggressive person that doesn't want to hear the other side, yeah, maybe that'll work in Iowa, that'll work in Kentucky. You know, Rand Paul will get 30% of the vote in our district. You know, so at the end of the day, you want your representative to have an R next to him. You know, and we're not going to agree on everything 100%. Never. I just told you about the energy issue. I was pissed. 4 days out of business, 4 days without electricity, water. You know, and it wasn't because of solar panels. I'm surrounded by them. It wasn't because of solar panels. It wasn't because of wind turbine. I told you why it was. You know, but you know, Alex asked me, there's 2 guys in runoff. Who is going to win in November? Who can beat Gina Jones? I said, Tony Gonzalez. You know, because for one thing, you know, I had been around him. I was around in Eagle Pass with the infamous Dr. Alma, Raul Reyes incident, you know, which at the time I was like, I'll tell you, Dr. Alma called out Raul pretty hard for stealing her signs or knocking him down. I'm not gonna say steal. I forget what the word was. It was a shock. Anybody who was there will tell you it was a shock, because we all introduced ourselves and she just went out and said, Raul, you're paying someone to take my signs down. You know, and yeah, and you know, and I'm not making that happen. Right there, front. There's actually a picture, and I'm like, you know, it's the first thing. It's like January 10th of 2020 in Pass. You know, at a what's that restaurant? Starts with a Y. Yopos.
Yopos?
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, and I was just shocked, you know. And if you know Dr. Alma, you know she doesn't make stuff up, man. You know, she's a straight arrow as they come. You know.
We used to interview her a week back or so.
You know, and you know, and at first I was like, you know, I didn't know anybody. It was the first time I'm in the whole group, and you know, she called out Raul pretty aggressive, you know, and to me, you know, it set a pattern, because as the runoff came along, all these people were siding with Tony. You know, everybody was getting on Tony's side. And to be fair, I did it early on just because I believed that he was a guy that could have the R next to his name, because committee assignments, things like that, you know. And again, trying to keep the leadership in the house, in the big house, right? And we went around with this chemical, and we gave, you know, we gave it in Del Rio, we gave it in Eagle Pass, we gave it pretty much throughout the district, and it was a real boost to our popularity. You know what I mean? And I do believe that people saw that. Hold on. Close the door, please. I'm sorry. I'm in my office. And so I, again, you know, and you saw me, the reason you and I got connected was because Raul because he was upset with me over the water thing, over the chemical thing, he threw a little, so we got to watch who we recommend. I'm like, dude, you have no experience. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm not going to talk about it, but he got me upset because he's like, the guy didn't know what he was doing. I was like, I won 10 counties, man. You know, and every one I was able to talk to people at, I won. You know, it's a shame I didn't get a chance to talk to Maverick. I wouldn't have won Maverick, but I think I would have gotten 4,000 votes. I still do. You know, and so I kind of took it personal when he said I had no issue with him. Earlier on, you know, I had an office here in Pecos County. I offered it to any of the candidates. Come here, sit down, make your phone calls, rest. There's a long stretch. This district, I'm in the middle of it. If you can believe that. I'm 3.5 hours from Eagle Pass. I'm in the middle of the district. Okay. So yes, by all means, I got a refrigerator, I got water, I got Wi-Fi, I got a printer, whatever you got to do. To him and Frank, made it available. You know, and so I kind of, you know, I understand. You know, he lost a close race. You know, losing's part of it, man. You know, dust it off and get back up. You know, don't don't try to throw me. Obviously, what I took it as, find somebody else other than Ruben Falcon to run. You know what I mean? And that's how I took it. That's why when you say we need to talk, yeah, we need to talk. We need to talk. You know, I mean, I work with Frank. You know, I know you have Frank on ahorita. I try to listen to, but I just got off with another meeting. I was actually in my truck I was parked in my truck. I'm just kidding. But anyway, I was trying to listen, but I really couldn't really, you know. And I after Fernando got off, I invited Frank. I said one of the things that Freddie was doing in Eagle Pass was these candidate campaign sign drive up, because he couldn't have a place to set up. So we set up at Freddie's house, and we're giving people Trump signs. And I said, I called Frank. I said, hey, you know, I'm going to do this. Do you want to be a part of it? And I want to do it we already did it in Eagle Pass. I'm going to do it in Del Rio. He said, yeah, you know, you know, the race had just ended, and Tony was the candidate, Senator Flores, other people in the state, Judge Yanta, and so we had all the signs, you know, and you know, I had very few Tony Gonzalez signs, and I know he didn't say anything, but I could tell, like, you know, oh, you got those here, whatever, you know, and I forget, he's still sore. I mean, I understand you put a lot of effort in a campaign, and it hurts, man. It's a punch in the stomach when you lose, especially close, but you know, it goes to show a lot of things, you know. I have a lot of respect for Frank. I hope to work with him again. You know, he endorsed Eddie in a weird way, and I called him out. He's blocked me on almost every Facebook thing. He endorsed Eddie in a very weird way, because I called him out 6 days after Tony Gonzalez was sworn in. He came. The first place he went to was Del Rio, and he met with a county judge and the county commissioners. Then he met with the city council. Then he met with the Air Force Base. And Frank was outside, and it wasn't as calm as he was saying. You know, he was pretty much barking on Facebook Live that, you know, I'm the Republican chair. How dare this guy not talk to me? And I kind of just sent a message. Hey, man, I said, we're not going to have Trump in 2022. Let's get some conservatives in the local races, man. I said, because I bet it's not going to have the turnout for us local guys that Trump did, right? That's just honest truth. And the way, to me, I said, let's get, even though a lot of local races are school board, city council, water districts, they're not hospital districts, they're not partisan, they're not Republican. You know who's who, okay? If Isaac runs, everyone knows what Isaac represents, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, you know, and then, you know, and I said, you know, when also in your local Republican Party, invite them to go to city council, school boards, but don't be problem solving. Let it be known the Republicans are here to help. You know what I mean? Hey, we got a committee that needs to look into, we need somebody to drive around the city and look what street signs need to be redone, right? Republican Party, we'll do it. You know, things like that. You know what I mean? And yes, when things come up, you know, hey, too much spending, the obvious things, too much spending, too much this. Yes, by me say, you know, we disagree with this, but be there to help. I said, I was telling him, do these things, man, because we're gonna need all the help at the local level. If in the local races you have local people, the local electors are gonna come out, local voters, you know. And 2 weeks later, he puts a big old picture of Eddie, you know, and says, "Oh, I spoke to Eddie, you know, and Eddie, he's a great guy, he's a representative. Show up, you know, let's get behind him." I'm like, you know. Yeah, and that was all on there. I have screenshots of it. I want to say, because I know it's going to be deleted, you know, and you know, I was very disappointed at that, very disappointed, and I called him out for it. I said, man, this is not, you know, this is not what to me a Republican chair does. You know, I know, you know, you're so with me that I supported Tony, and I know you're so with Tony, but you know, 6 days, your new U.S. congressman, the first city he selects to come is yours. And you're ranting on Facebook Live about, I can't wait to get him out. Let's vote him out. I'm like, you know, I'm like, and then that went to my frustration with, you know, if you look at my Facebook, I haven't posted anything much since I lost. You know, I lost. You deal with it, you know, and then you get that. We're not going to agree on everything. We're not going to agree on everything possible. You know, I did some things during the beginning of COVID that were not very conservative. I panicked like everybody else. You know what I mean? Like, as an elected official, I voted for some pretty aggressive, you know, because it was 14 days and 14 days to, what was it called? 14 days to curb the spread or whatever it was. Remember, you know, yeah. And it's 2 weeks, and that's like, hey, do we need to do this? Yeah, let's do this, let's do that, let's get. But once the 2 weeks passed, and we just, skyrocketing, he's right. Okay, we need to do these restrictions away. We need to do these things because that obviously was not going to work. And we sit here on the interstate, and here we are. What got me to change my mind was like we're sitting on the interstate, right? In these 2 weeks of pretty much late March, early April. And we're seeing the interstate that goes from country to country. And you're watching a Greyhound bus full of gente from everywhere getting off. And I'm like, here we are, our local citizens. We're doing all the things everybody was doing, like at the grocery store. Please don't take your kids, take one family. And that's what I'm talking about. Some of the things that I supported, just like everybody else. We knew nothing about this thing. Yeah, and then y'all had it too. And hey, when you go to the grocery store, mom, go, leave your kids at home. Let's not have your kids touching things. We don't know how this thing is transformed. Yeah, and then I'm watching this, and then, you go on Greyhound at the local interstate convenience store with 60 people get out from all over the country. You're like, So, like I said, I was really, really bothered by Raul's statement. I have to be honest with you, okay? Just like I was bothered by Frank's, and he can try to justify another way. You put a picture of what I consider my opponent and say, let's get behind this guy. I take offense to it because I work with the Valverde Republican Party, a lot. And I still feel that especially in 2022, without a presidential race, without a Trump in the ticket, it's going to be hard to get people to go turn out. The governor does not have that kind of turnout power. He's got a lot of money. Good for him. Maybe that'll help because obviously look at my race. Money helps, right?
Yeah.
And so, but I'm glad I got to talk to you. I don't want to end it, but I still got a lot of things I want to talk about. But I just I know you got to be tired, but that bothered me. It bothered me that Raul said, we got to find good people. I said, good people. I said, look at my record, man. I said, I've been a conservative. I used to be a prison guard, and I was talking to a guy one time about schools, and I said, why I was a Republican and why he was a Democrat, and his ideas were pretty much about, take benefits and get this. I said, no, so you want to elevate your kids, and I go back to me being a proud free lunch token kid, and my kids not being there. Hopefully, you just want to up your kids, teach your kids about credit, teach your kids about, when I see young Hispanics here in Fort Stockton do good, I always tell them, I see them, I say, who's your accountant? Who's your lawyer? Who's your financial advisor? Okay?
Yeah.
They can't say that. Why? Because Lupe's income tax is not for you anymore. You're a businessman. Who's your attorney? Oh, the bank lets me use their guy. That's the guy that's going to come after you when you can't pay your loan. He's not your attorney. He's the bank's attorney. Financial advisor. The first thing you got to learn when you go to business by yourself is pay yourself first and put a little bit aside. Unfortunately, I've had to dip into a little bit aside a lot more than I like to, especially last year.
Yeah.
But I stand by my conservative values. Fiscal first. I am Justice Scalia to me. Walks on water. And I believe what he said. That the Constitution is there and it's hard to change for a reason. So the values can stay in place, and there's different ways to go about things, but your values stay in place. The core conservative values.
Mm-hmm.
To me, along with that bill about, making the chief county appraiser an elected position, I also had on there, I just slipped my mind. It's late in the afternoon.
Well,
no. I had a lot of ideas of what no bond elections in May. Actually, I don't like May elections at all because I think that, for one thing, it tires people out with voting.
Mm-hmm.
You have all the elections in November. I really wanted to work on that. Of course, the main thing was get some money to the district. I know, that's, get some money to all parts of the district, especially when it comes to broadband, when it comes to roads and bridges. Right now, we have the border issue, and to me, what a great opportunity for our two state officials to appeal to their party and say, we're being overrun here, and get the attention of their upper ladder elected officials to say, we need help here. Every border patrol agent you talk to, even out here, 100 miles from the border, catching 5 times more a day than they were catching just a year ago. And
well, let me ask you this, not to interrupt. Since we did have earlier, and we posed the question to Frank as well. How do you feel about the situation with the asylums? Because I mean, I've been asking everybody that's relevant to the situation what their thought is. Of course, you have Tony Gonzalez that he's a Republican, but he has been for the creation of more facilities in the area. He supported a local facility, asylum facility here in Eagle Pass. What's your take on that? How's the concepts that you have similar to Tony Gonzalez, or is it you don't agree with these facilities, or what's your take on that?
So my take on it, for one, obviously, it was obvious come November, and with the promises that Biden had made pretty much in October, saying if I win, I'm not going to house kids in cages. The famous bumper sticker. Democrats love bumper stickers, right? Kids in cages or whatever, right? Let's not debate something. Let's put a bumper sticker so it sounds good for our side, right? And so you knew it was obvious because you started watching on the news. And you could see these convoys that were around a few years back. They were going again. It took about 3 months, and sure enough, come early January, they were starting to arrive, right? And you had the problem with, as I talked to some of the local border patrol agents, they're like, these kids are showing up, with a phone and a number in it. Call my relative, and these relatives. And so, number one, I think that I think we all know that was a big problem, right? Yeah. Saying, the deal with the deterrent to don't come over here with a kid thinking you're gonna come. What President Trump did worked. Yes, it was hard at first, like anything else. It was hard to, the media used it, and it's hard to watch kids, away from their parents. They showed that one kid outside, even though there was a million kids, they caught the one parent that couldn't find their son. This, right? Yes. And it's hard to watch. Okay, let's just be human about it. But the deterrent, not only did it work for local American policy, it worked down south. People were watching this one person they caught saying, I can't find my kid, and it stopped. It stopped to zero. It just stopped. Mm-hmm. And so now you have them at the border being allowed to cross, and so now as a local elected official, right? It becomes that's where your state rep and your state senator come in, because it got away from the border. The border, we all agree, the border is a federal issue, right? That's Border Patrol, that's CBP, that's all that. Once they have to come into our hospitals, Border Patrol, especially with COVID and all these things, they start to become a local problem, right? Mm-hmm. And every city has some kind of housing. You have Section 8. You have it's technical, but you're aware of what they are, right? Yeah. And so now they're becoming a local issue, overrunning schools, because now you're having the school feed, because that's the established kitchen, right? I mean, what bigger kitchen? What bigger, not public, but kind of public, big kitchen do you have that can make food for these underage minors? Mm-hmm. There's a school, so now you drain the school. It's already, and so of course the Democratic Party, is telling you, well, you're going to get a check from it eventually. And I think if you ask most of the local governments, is where's the money at? Where's the money at? So then as a local official, what am I doing? Where do I put these people? They're here. The federal government is letting them into my town and making it my problem, right? Mm-hmm. So if the federal government says, until we deal with this, we need to house these people in these locations, then that's the thing to do, because they're not draining local overtax taxpayers' funds. The federal money, even though it's local taxpayers, it's a lot bigger purse than what your city, your county, your hospital district has. So, you gotta, that's what I'm saying. I mean, yes, we all like again, we have our own bumper stickers too, and we all like those. But at the same time, open the issue up, okay? Once the federal government, President Biden, the vice president, Pelosi, once they opened up the border and said, come over, and then they made it a local issue. And now the local governments, counties, cities, schools are having to pay for this without any future. Yeah, just an IOU. And then the opportunity comes that says, we have, like around here with the oil field being down, we have man camps, right? They're having one here in Reese County and one am I happy as a local official? They're not making us give up our housing our Section 8 housing for these people. Yes, I'm very happy. So put them up, deal with them. Hopefully they deal with them the way President Trump was, which send them back to where they came from. Not the current policy, as I understand it. I'm not very versed on it, but I understand it is as long as there's a relative that's willing to claim them, it takes about 6 weeks to get them with that relative. I mean, more or less, right? No questions asked. Yeah, I have to apologize. I'm not very fresh on federal issues. I'm very fresh on state issues and local issues, and I can tell you that I understand, because you got to open up the issues. Okay, the bumper sticker works for both sides, but ask your local city council them how can they afford to house all these? They're just in the thousands every day because they're coming through. Our state rep and our state senator, we need more DPS money. Our county, our sheriffs need a lot more money. Our hospital districts are having to deal with people. I did see an interview with a middle distance station. They were talking to, because they do, and a big problem with it also is they don't share information with the local government. Now that's a problem. And one of the issues that we're talking to actually people in a little town north of us here, the Midland station was, and they were saying, we don't know who's in there, we don't know what they have. They just call for an ambulance because they don't have a medical center. So they call it, we have a 13-year-old male that has hard time breathing, or got in a fight and got beat up. Pick him up, bring him to the hospital. So now that becomes a local issue, Yeah. So when you want a bumper sticker and say no housing, okay, yeah, fine, don't house it. But then you break it down, okay, break it down, and you agree why certain things have to be done. They're not the popular thing, but you know what? It's the realistic thing. That the problem is here. How are you gonna deal with it? Yeah, send them back is easy. Yeah, that's easy to say. Send them back. Yeah, send them back. How? The federal government's not doing it. That I know of, and I know because I saw it on his Facebook page. I think Tony has had 25 elected officials from all over the country. He's had 25 congressmen from throughout the country come to the border and see in Maverick and Eagle Pass and the Rio Valverde bracket. I know it's Presidio because I have a friend, the city manager is a friend of mine. He's bringing all from Iowa, from all these other places that have no idea what they're talking about, and they come and see this massive amount of people coming through in Big Bend National Park. How they're dealing with it. Alpine.
By the hundreds, I've seen some videos that are wow.
I mean, I was watching the news where I think Valverde had 13 guys from the Congo crossover.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they didn't look like the rest of them. But anyway, look, every issue needs to be addressed in other than bumper stickers. And I think that's, some of the things that when you asked me earlier, you early on, why did I select Tony to be the guy I partnered with on this bleach thing, knowing how popular it's going to be and probably get the victory, right? And it was, because I wanted someone that can get past the bumper sticker slogan, get into the detail. He's a Republican. He helps our side tip the scale. Hopefully, in 2022, we can take the leadership, and let McCarthy be the leader, But by all means, like I said, hold accountable. By all means, ask questions, accountable. But let's just not buy into the bumper sticker on both sides. I got to make payroll every week. I got to pay tax every week. I can't buy the BS of a bumper sticker. I'm a conservative first. I'm a conservative, fiscal conservative, constitutional conservative. That's what I do. But do I have a soft heart? Yeah. I want one of the things I wanted to do if I got elected was I wanted to zero budget the budget, zero line item the budget. In other words, bring the budget in and put a zero. And because COVID made it easy. It was a one time that COVID had some benefits. It actually let you know how, with what little the state could run.
Yeah.
Everything was inflated. And all of a sudden, maybe we don't need this much for this issue. And because if I read it right, I think Mr. Hager said that we ended up with a surplus for 2020 in the state piggy bank. And I have to do it because even though that you have to filter your information where it comes from, both, and anything. So, but I did read, I don't remember where I read it. It wasn't that long ago, like a month ago, that the state ended up in a surplus in 2020. Maybe it's the high values of properties.
Yeah, maybe, right?
So I'm concerned about the energy in 2022, because it was easy, man, with President Trump. I have to be honest, it was easy. He energized the party to a level that, I'm 48 years old, I've never seen, and a lot of people are still bothered and hurt that he didn't win. And I hope they don't tune out, but I also hope that like me, I think I compare to other people I've seen, and there are better people than me to run for this seat, but they're busy or they're not interested. I believe I given a little bit more money, from the Republican PACs, not from lobby groups and stuff like that. I didn't want any. I don't want any, right? But I just hope to get the media more, talk to people openly more,
Well, let me ask you this, and we'll wrap it up. This is probably the last thing I'll ask, because we are over an hour already, and I don't want to keep you too late either. But with that said, are we going to see you coming up soon, running for this race? Because the state representative, it's a quick 2 years. It's 1 foot in and your other foot's already out. So we're just curious.
No, and it was designed that way to keep you close to your people. You know what I mean? It was designed that way so you don't make Austin, the social elite capital of your campaign. And so. And you know what I mean by that? You follow certain Instagram accounts, right? I'm not a vegetarian, but anyway, I like that smile.
We know exactly what you mean, and we're not sure if anybody else caught it, but
I know. Anyway,
we're laughing over here.
You got redistricting coming up, and whatever Pecos County falls under, I'm running for that seat. You know what I mean? We don't have no idea what redistricting is going to do. North of me, Midland, Odessa, what I think was the highest population growth in the state per capita. They went from 100,000 Odessa, 100,000 Midland to 700,000 between both of them. So, and it was that boom that came. So I don't know. And then you have COVID. We don't know how accurate the numbers are going to be, because we don't know how many people filled out their I don't know how many people filled out their census, because people weren't opening doors. I wonder. So yes, whatever my home district falls under, I'm running for it. And I have to say another thing that real quick. One other thing that was bothered, because it feels like it's not a conservative issue. It feels like it's more of a liberal issue when you first talk about it, and I had this conversation with a lot of conservatives when they talk about, and this is being passed on by the governor, and it's end taxpayer lobbying, taxpayer paid lobbying. Okay?
Yeah, we're interested in that one. We've been watching that one come through.
Well, and that's interesting because, okay, let's end it. Let's end it for the state too. The state can't lobby DC. That's a non-starter for Austin. You know, Maverick. And like I told people, Maverick, yeah, 50,000 people, San Verde, Pecos County, 20,000. We're rural Texas, man. We're shrinking. We're small Texas. We are, especially if we're represented by the wrong party, we're irrelevant. Okay, we live it. And so the only opportunity we have is TML, Texas Association of Rural Hospitals, Texas Association of County Judges, Texas Municipal League for Cities, school boards. And what the state reps don't like is that we actually have a voice through these people, because Fort Stockton, I know Maverick can afford it. I know no one, none in our district can afford it. We can have a full-time lobbyist paid, to go fight our issues in Austin for the 6 months the legislature's on. We just can't. We got potholes, man.
Well, see, let me stop you right quick there.
Okay.
Because Maverick County,
yes,
does have,
I've heard,
Shepherd Government Affairs, and the reason why we know is because we have stories up on our page, our website,
yes, ma'am,
about them. Yeah. And I mean, we've pulled out records. The county didn't give us records within the time frame that they're supposed to. We had to submit requests to the Attorney General, and it wasn't until then that the county attorney stepped in and advised, the judge and the public information officer, you need to comply with these requests. Eventually, I have them here filed, where you see paychecks. And one thing I do need to say is that the lobbying groups you're talking about, they're more associations, they're more established groups. Yes, they're different. But Maverick County, I'm with you. I don't think they can afford it, but they have one.
Okay, no, and that's up to the local control, cornerstone of the Republican Party, right?
Mm-hmm.
Control, which is what I went at. Unfunded mandates, things like that. But what I'm telling you, yes, the associations, but in this bill they're included, and
yes,
so
they are.
Now, as far as, and their charge is not much, but these lobbyists you talk about, they're expensive. $10,000 a month, or
it's $8,000 for the county pays $8,000 a month.
Yeah, they average, depending on what you're doing. But I was close, Anyway, compared to what these associations, and to me, okay, Austin, you want to end this? You want to end our voice, the rural hospital's voice? Fine. You're losing yours too. You're not going to be able to lobby, because they Austin lobbies DC just as much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so you're like, okay, come on now, do as I say, not as I do, kind of thing doesn't work, and I'm a local control guy. If the voters, like Maverick County, if the voters of Maverick County are allowing your local government to do that, that's on you. Okay, I don't hear I ain't gonna do it. So
well, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. The only thing is that what we have here, or what has been happening, is that people don't know.
Right.
And that's our issue. And that's the whole reason why the Rising Texan was even created, or thought up of, or came about, was the fact that there was several things going on that people had no clue. Again, and then, like I said, I think the two levels of lobbying, the way you're kind of explaining it through the associations, that's a thing where TML will go in every county, and it's like pretty much almost a flat rate or a range. It's not anything that's negotiated the way other lobbyists do directly with counties. And it's just weird to me whenever we're interviewing for a city race, like we did with former Mayor Cifuentes, and we see that lobbyists with a Cifuentes hat, in his camp, and we ask about it because we see him, we know him, and we hear, oh, he's here voluntarily. Now, you tell me, when is the last time you heard any type of lobbyist anywhere
voluntarily
there,
So right, and yes, so that to me is again another kind of bumper sticker that you have to open up a little more. Okay, but again, like us here in the smaller cities, that's all we got. But there's so much more to it. For example, like we need job descriptions. They have them for us. Hey, can you research if a city has done this in the last 20 years in Texas? We want to make sure it's legal before we act on it. They research that for you. Hey, we have another entity trying to create a water district. I gotta tell you a story, and that's why I didn't take any freaking lobbying endorsement. So in 2010, as I was fighting as mayor, this very aggressive project to take 50,000 gallons of water a day from our water here. I was in DC, and I was talking to I was here, and Farm Bureau was the one that stepped with me the whole time, right? Farm Bureau represents farmers, and they're a lobby group, but they were there for private property rights. Another cornerstone of the Republican Party, conservatives. Anyway, when it was at DC level, it was different. In Texas, I could walk in any office in a natural resource committee and talk to them like, somehow you can eliminate, you've heard that 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon or whatever, you could eliminate people and get to know. But in DC on K Street, that's very different, right? So we go in, and there's a senator, or whatever it was, from the Natural Resource Committee, because his bill it never got introduced, but it was going to get introduced in the House. So we were trying to be proactive and beat it. So it's only me and the Farm Bureau guy. And I go in there. There's a young assistant from back home, doing some time with the congressman, with the senator, wherever it was. And so I say, I'm very naive. Say, hello, I'm Ruben Falcon. I'm the mayor of Fort Stockton. I'm here to talk to Congressman so and so about this issue. And then the young man tells me, the young man up top says, "Who represents you?" And I kind of like didn't hear that right. Like, no, I represent the citizens of Fort Stockton. He goes, "Who represents you?" And that's when the Farm Bureau guy was behind me, kind of puts his hand on my shoulder. He goes, "Farm Bureau, I represent him." And she pulled out a little. Remember the teachers used to have that desk, that little tablita. They graded grades on it. That little
the slide out one.
Slide out one, yeah.
Okay.
And there was like a paper there, and Texas Farm Bureau wasn't on there, and so there was no time for us. And ever since then, man, I've had spite. Because not only do you have to be on that list, you got to be in a certain bracket of that list to get attention, not only from the staff, the chief of staff, or maybe even the but that is a deeper problem. That's not, I'll be honest with you, that's not the congressman's fault. That's the system we have allowed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he can't keep his job if you don't have that system in place. And so that's why one of the reasons, you learn as you go. I'm talking about experience. I've got a lot of experience, man. I've just like any other mayor and city council member, I've had people applaud me and give me a stand ovation, and I've had people upset because we raise trash rates and they want to throw me out of office. It comes with the territory.
Yeah.
So I've enjoyed talking to you, man. I know we talked a long time. I've yawned a couple. You yawned a couple.
No, and we appreciate it, because I mean, we don't really have a set time, but I do know, like, once it hits about an hour or so, it puts a little bit of toll on the vocal cords, and we really enjoyed it. We appreciate you taking your time, and like I said, state rep, that's around the corner. It's coming up, and we're here whenever you want to come in and talk with us. And likewise, I hope the invitation is there where we can speak with you in the future.
Yeah. And like I said, I haven't read I'll read the comments later, and I'm like anything else. I'm sure people will agree with me on some things, disagree, but I am a country first, state first, district first, local control guy first. You know what I mean? I break down issues. I just don't buy into any issue because it's the popular thing to do. You know what I mean? And so, do I agree with it? Do I like some things some Democrats do sometimes? Yeah. Do I agree with everything Republicans do? No. And if I have a chance to talk to them, I was I was aggressive. You can call me a charter member of the Tea Party in 2009. Taxed enough already. That's my whole thing. Taxes. I think that you talk to people about tax. I honestly don't think people. We understand that we got to pay taxes. I think people get frustrated with taxes when they don't see nothing in return. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I own a restaurant. I rent commercial buildings. I have a rate for what I charge for food. I have a rate for what I charge for my buildings. The tenants are paying for what they're getting in value. And so I feel the same way with the taxes and other issues. And I'm just an open guy, man. I mean, I feel like I can talk. I talk to people. Don't agree with everybody. I have conversations. I said some of my closest friends are the most, well, we call them West Texas liberals, which is conservative everywhere else, but it's like Chris Rock said, I'm liberal with your wallet, conservative with mine, So, but anyway, man, like I said, I'm glad I talked to you. I wish I would talk to you during the campaign. Say hello to Joey. Joey's been a good guy, man. And again, I want to talk to you about unfunded mandates. I want to talk to you about, the abuse of our police officers. You know what I mean? I don't know how you act when you get pulled over. I'm 48 years old, and I've always been taught, especially at night, you put your hands on the steering wheel, you turn, you don't like. You know what I mean? I believe most of the issues that we see on TV that are highlighted by the national media could have been solved with one thing: compliance. 5 minutes worth of compliance. You know what I mean? If it could have been, most issues could have been solved with 5 minutes of compliance. Most people think that driving or driver's license is a right. No, that's a privilege. And when you sign and get the driver's license, you understand that when the blue and reds pull up behind you, you are detained. You can't leave. You know what I mean? And like I said, I've been in prison. I've been around some tough dudes, man. Some tough dudes. If you look at my Facebook, there's a picture of me and Governor Bush. I was involved in shootouts, man, with some aggressive dudes, man, in Fort Davis. Involved with some. You don't get to sit. I look in the picture because it's over here, but it's in my website. There's a picture of me in the front row. You don't get to sit in the front row with the governor, for staying back at the campfire. You know what I mean? You were involved in stuff, protecting the citizens of Jeff Davis County. And like I said, I've been around some bad people, and I take my experience as a prison guard, my experience in the state and federal level, and my experience as a small business owner, as an elected official, as a racquetball player, a runner. Everything I do, man, I try to put into my perspective of how people deal with it, as Americans.
No, yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, again, we appreciate you coming on, taking your time. I don't know if you have any last words that you want to say or anything to the people that are viewing right now, but the ones that are going to view this later on as well. And like I said, we appreciate it.
No, thank you, man. Like I said, I look forward to talking with people more, especially the ones that I didn't get to talk to later in the campaign because of COVID, and I don't blame any of the local officials, whether it be in Maverick or whatever county I was in, I've been in their shoes. You make the decisions you think you need to make, and then through local control, your voters will decide if that was the right thing for them or not,
Absolutely.
Bueno, Isaac, thank you, my friend.
Oh, no, thank you. We really appreciate it, and we'll hopefully be seeing you soon.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. That was Ruben Falcon. Again, he just won re-election in Fort Stockton to City Council, and he was the opponent of Eddie Morales in Texas District 74 for state representative. Of course, Eddie Morales was the winner of that race, and you heard it from him. Depending on the redistricting, Ruben Falcon said that he is going to run for wherever the redistricting is and whatever district he would pertain to. But I want to thank y'all for joining in on this second interview we had for you on our Wednesday. We appreciate it. You guys have a nice night and a good rest of your week.